Hi, this is Kimberly Reuter, business advisor and supply chain expert. And today I'm going to talk to you about kindness and leadership. This is the fourth episode of my four-part series on leadership. We started with the intro, and the three leadership values are no, open mind, and kindness. So we've already talked about the other two, and now we're down to the last but not least part of the leadership traits. And before we get started into kindness, I want to talk about what kindness is not, because I think a lot of leaders out there confuse kindness with weakness and good leadership. So, kindness is not telling everybody they're amazing, promoting people when they don't deserve it, never giving negative feedback, being everybody's buddy, not helping anyone grow, keeping everybody the same. That is not kindness. That is weak leadership. And I see it all the time. Don't give critical feedback. Don't give people opportunities to take a risk. All of these odd behaviors that look like kindness, that look like friendliness and niceness, but that's all they are, is just niceness and a lot of times just weakness, because it takes a lot to help someone grow. It takes a lot of kindness, it takes an open mind, and it takes no. But it takes a lot of energy to do that for someone. And so when I see leaders out there who are just syrupy sweet and sickly sweet all the time. And, oh, my favorite, it drives me up a fucking wall is when they are like, oh, but, oh, we're doing such a all my people are the best. My people are the absolute best. I have all top tier people. My people are amazing." And they present themselves as being this amazing leader. Like, I'm just such an amazing leader because all of my people are top tier and they're just amazing. And if you've worked in a force rank environment, which is what Amazon was a long time ago, and we'll talk about what force ranking is at another a podcast and why I do actually think is effective, though brutal. Um, we did a lot of reviews, and so I got to hear this a lot. And I most recently had it happen with a client, where they had a leader who was this person, right? Where all of her employees were the best of the whole company, every single last one of them. Every single last one of your people cannot be the best. It's just impossible. To the extent that she didn't even have the subject matter expertise to determine if somebody was actually a good employee and top tier, but she swore that they were, even though she didn't actually know. That's not kindness. That's laziness. When you, as a leader, do not want to have hard conversations with your team, hold them accountable, and help them grow, that's weakness. That's not being a good leader. Being everybody's buddy and gossiping about top leaders and just being that all around, like, I'm your bestie leader is not kindness. That is weakness. That does not mean that kindness is being an asshole. So let's talk about what kindness is. So kindness, and there's kindness in your personal life, there's kindness in professional life. They're both the same, but sometimes there's a little bit of difference because in the professional world, there are some guide rails. And they're slightly different than the ones in the personal world. There are guide rails there too in the personal world. So there's some guide rails in the professional world that keep you kind of in check. But kindness isn't always about being nice. Kindness is sometimes about being not nice. Kindness is about delivering that tough message. Kindness is about critical feedback. Kindness is about not allowing that promotion to go through because they're not ready. Kindness is stopping a project, ending a project, not approving a project because it's not right for the company or the team, even though they want it, but you know it's not going to work. Sometimes kindness is letting someone go, and that's hard. And I know on the receiving end of that, it doesn't feel very kind, but it is kindness. Sometimes someone is not fit for a role, and I've even been in situations when I knew something was coming and I wanted to get somebody in front of it. Like if we had a big riff or a reduction in force, and I knew that a lot of people were going to lose their jobs. There's been cases where I've tried to get somebody out early in front of it so that they could have a better chance of getting a job because they wouldn't be competing with 700 other people. I know that didn't feel like kindness when I did that. It felt like just getting fucking fired, but it was. And I have certainly let people go from jobs that were not right for them, for corporate cultures that were not right for them. And it was a kindness to kind of put them out of their misery, so to speak. They weren't going to make it. They weren't going to be successful. They were struggling. They were going to spend their whole lives just beating themselves up. It didn't look like kindness, but it was kindness. So kindness isn't always about being happy, happy go lucky. Let's go to lunch. Let's have drinks. I'm your bestie. You can tell me anything. That is not kindness. It's not even a good leader. I want to dispel that. People are like, oh, my people love me. That doesn't mean you're a great leader. Great leaders take time to develop their people. And if you've done anything athletic at all in your life, tried to run a mile, lift weights, dance class, anything, it doesn't have to be a freaking Iron Man, anything physical. If you've ever tried to push yourself physically, when you do that, you get a sore muscle, right? You pull a muscle, you get sore muscles, your muscles get tired, lactic acid build up in your muscles, et cetera, et cetera. That little pain is because you pushed yourself. That's kindness because you pushed yourself a little further. You extended your body. You learned something more about yourself. That is kindness. So pushing others to be successful, delivering critical messages with kindness, with an open heart, is kindness. You do not have to say yes, promote everybody. Everybody is your bestie to be a kind leader. The kindest leaders I have had delivered the hardest messages to me. Now, they didn't always do it in a nice way. I'm not going to give them credit for that. There was some bluntness there that hurt just a little bit, but they took the time. And that's what I want people to understand. Um, Ben spoke about this recently, a friend of mine who is a big leader in supply chain, and that if I take time to give you feedback, to read your document, listen to your situation, whatever it is, and give you feedback, that's kindness. I've taken time out of my own day and given you energy that I didn't need to. I didn't need to do that. I could have said whatever, it looks fine, and not even bothered. But a lot of people, when they get feedback, when they get told no, don't hear the kindness in that. Sometimes, I know I talk about there is no no, and that's about having solutions for people, okay? So that doesn't negate that. No, no still stands. But sometimes when you tell people no, it is actually a kindness and they don't hear it. So kindness is not about being sweet, not holding your people accountable. My people are the best all the time. That is not a kind leader. That's actually a shitty leader, a weak leader, a really weak leader. A kind leader develops their people, takes time to make sure that they have the skills, expertise, and knowledge to be successful at the next level and the next level after that. Building. So why does all this matter? Why do I like keep harping on kindness, right? Because it's not a leadership value that anybody really talks about. If you go on Amazon and search for leadership books, you're going to be you're going to be going through a couple pages before you get to a book about kindness and leadership. People don't talk about kindness and leadership. So why does it matter? Why am I harping on it? Why out of all of the three values and traits that you could have as a leader, mine are no, open mind, and kindness. Why does kindness matter so damn much? Here's why. When you're kind to people, I did a podcast previously about authenticity, the courage to be disliked. And this goes hand in hand with this kindness thing. When you're kind to someone, you're giving them critical feedback, you're willing to be disliked because you know they're not going to want to hear this, right? But that's a kindness. So when you do this, when you're authentic, when you're kind, when you're honest, people feel safe. Steve Haas and I just talked about this in a podcast that'll be coming out here, or you'll probably see it before this one. Steve Haas and I talked about this about when employees feel safe. They will do anything for you. They will move mountains. They will work the other hour. They'll do the extra review. They'll do anything when they feel safe. Kindness makes people feel safe. And I'm gonna tell you a little story. So I if I haven't already in this episode, I know I've done in other episodes, I'm gonna remind you. I learned all this shit the hard way, okay? I didn't come out of the womb this amazing leader who had all these skill sets. I fucked up a lot. And I'm gonna tell you a story about how I finally learned about kindness. I ran the import department at Amazon in addition to, I ran hazmat, product compliance, import compliance, export compliance worldwide. By the way, not just North America, the whole freaking world. Should have probably been paid a whole lot more, but it's another story. Anyway, so I have a lot of responsibility. I have a team. The woman running import compliance for me at the time was Jennifer. She's gonna be a guest on one of the podcasts coming up here soon. She's amazing. And it was Jennifer and Sean. Sean's also coming. They were my 2 leaders, in the import supply chain. And so, I wasn't always a great leader. Jennifer actually taught me a lot of lessons. She reported me to HR. Believe that shit. By the way, I've been reported to HR quite a few times. It's almost kind of a point of pride for me, to be honest with you. Um I know it shouldn't be, but it kinda is. 'Cause I never got in trouble because I never really did anything wrong, but people don't always like hearing the truth. But I have had many HR conversations. Well, Jennifer reported my ass to HR, early on in her career, and, somehow we still remain friends, and we're still very good friends to this day. She's one of my besties. I see you, girl. Um, and so after I had left Amazon, I was working at Nordstrom, and Jennifer and I met for lunch. Actually, we were probably just shopping. We didn't do any eating. We went shopping and somehow work came up and working for me. And I don't know, something came up. I don't know how the actual topic came up. But Jennifer said this to me and it stopped me cold in my tracks. And it still makes me kind of cry a little bit when I repeat it. And this is what she said to me. She said, Kim, we loved you. We love you. We still love you. We loved you. You were an amazing leader. We didn't even realize how amazing a leader you were until you left us and moved to FBA. She goes, we loved you. She goes, we would have done anything for you. We would have followed you off the cliff. We would have gone to hell and back for you. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. She's like, you didn't have to be mean to us. Yeah. I was like, what? Let me repeat that for you guys. Because this is the comment that, like, I started crying on the sidewalk. I'm not gonna lie about it. I probably should have had some lunch, but anyway. I started crying when she said that. Again, what she said is, we would have followed you to hell and back. You didn't have to be mean to us. Now, I wasn't mean all the time because obviously they wouldn't have followed me to hell and back if I was mean all the time. But it was a tough culture, and I could be an asshole. I can still be an asshole. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of my ire, you know it's intense. And when there's blood in the water, like any shark, I'm not going to stop until it's dead. It's just my nature. To be told that kind of after the fact, where I could see it a little bit more, I wasn't in the moment, was really heartbreaking. And I learned a big lesson that day, that kindness matters, and that I wasn't always kind. So this is why kindness matters in the workplace, is because people want to do the right thing. People want to do the right thing. They just do. I'm writing this down because it's another podcast I just thought about. Right Thing podcast. I forget, and then I won't have any content for later. So Right Thing I had to write that down. So people want to do the right thing, and there's reasons people don't do a right thing, which is what I'm going to talk about in another podcast. But anyway, people want to do the right thing. So you don't have to be mean to them, but you do have to make them feel safe. And that's why kindness matters. Because when people feel safe, they work harder, they work better, they produce better products. When you see an organization that is smooth and seamless and putting out quality, and they're generally happy, they're not stupid happy, generally happy, okay? They have a kind leader. When you see an organization and they're choppy and their product's not very good and there's a lot of disorganization and chaos and there's an underlying dissatisfaction, but there's probably like a stupid happy on top of it, like lots of parties and shit like that, they don't have a kind leader. It's very easy to spot. This is why kindness matters. The other reason I am harping on kindness is you cannot have an open mind if you do not have kindness. You cannot do the no if you don't have kindness. Yeah. All three of these go together. Permanently linked, beautiful recipe for good leadership. And you have to have all three, because you cannot have an open mind if you are not kind. You cannot come up with solutions to someone's problem if you don't have empathy. You can't be kind without an open mind. All three of these things go together. You cannot have one without the other. You cannot be a good leader with just two. You have to have all three. No mindset, an open mind, you don't know everything, and kindness. Tough love, kindness. It's another thing people have described me in the past. As I've been doing this podcast, it's super interesting. Like, people are coming out of the woodwork. I think I mentioned this before. It's great. And this is what they have to say to me. You were fair. You weren't always nice, but you were fair. And I trusted you. And that is what warms my heart, is when people come to me and they say, I trust you. I trusted you when we worked together. I trust you. They may not like me. They may not like my message, but they trust it. And that is why kindness is so important, because you cannot have good leadership without the three traits and values. Kindness in all things. That is all I have for you today, my people. Thank you for being there. I love you. I appreciate that you're here. Thank you for supporting me, and we'll talk again soon.